Hello, welcome back. I'm Brooke, and I'm here with
Harry Chen from Monkey Guitars.
If you were with us for part one, we were talking about his guitar building business, repairs, and setups as well. We were looking at some of the drums and talking about some of the violin stuff that he might get into in the future. Right now, though, we are going to look at some of the acoustic guitars. We have Gordon, who's going to come in and has graciously donated some of his time, his skills, and yes, his fingers to help us really showcase your instruments. What do you think of that?
Gordon's a good guy.
Perfect. All right. So why don't we start with the guitars that we're going to have him play. We'll go one by one and introduce them and hear how they sound.
Okay. So this is, I call it the Proto guitar. This is actually the guitar I built in a 5-week course with Jeremy Ham. This is your Ramirez classical guitar with a Sitka spruce top soundboard, Indian rosewood back and sides, and a Spanish cedar neck, which is the typical specs to the blueprints that were made back in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, as a first guitar, obviously with some help, it's not too bad. And it's always, kind of like a guitar I keep looking back. It's like, like this is the first one. It's got to be better than this. It's got to be better than this, right?
Numero uno.
Yeah. Well, not even. It'd be a 000, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
I think I do have it stamped as Proto in there.
Oh, excellent.
So when I
serial number or stamp all your guitars?
Yeah, when I serialize my guitars, I generally do it at the heel block over there.
Okay. Any cool features you want to show? I see something near the end block there.
This is an end flash. It's pretty typical on all guitars. I do try to make something unique on every guitar. Some of the end blocks I do have, or the end flashes, I do have are, a little more complex, and just try to go out of the norm, thinking outside of the box, so to speak, and any kind of little flair, visual appeal to make it different from your everyday guitar, right?
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Yeah, looking at that, I can't believe it's your first attempt at a guitar. That's very impressive.
Yeah, it's great. So you can try it out for us.
Yeah. Do you play with your teeth?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The best way.
We better give this a go.
Okay.
So what do we have here?
This is serial number 003, and this is actually my first attempt at a steel string guitar. And actually, at the time, I didn't have the form, the mold, and the templates for this would be closer to a grand concert or an orchestra model. The size is about just in between there.
And that is one size down from a dreadnought?
That's right.
Okay.
And I go, well, the size is so close, then I'll just use it until I get the form for an orchestra model. And it worked out very well. This guitar is actually the Sitka spruce on the top. Most of the guitars I do build is spruce on the top. It's just a preference, and actually at this point, I'm looking to get into more cedar tops for future builds. This back is torrified mahogany, Kaya African mahogany, and the sides are torrified sapelli, which is like along the lines of a mahogany family tree.
And what? Excuse me. What is torrified?
Torrified is I'm not sure if you want to call it a treatment or it's something they do to the wood. As far as I understand, they bake it for another at 400 degrees for 10 minutes in an airless oven of some sort.
Hmm.
And the idea of that is that uh, I guess it dries it out a little more, so it almost artificially ages the wood
Okay.
a lot more brittle. So it could break off on you a lot easier.
Hmm.
Mistakes can happen a little easier.
Okay.
But on the flip side of that, it is easier to work. Like it cuts a little
Hmm.
smoother, so to speak.
Cool. And I'm noticing on this one, you got some nice wood. I mean, I'm noticing on all of them, they're wood binding, but really, really
Yeah,
beautiful stuff there.
yeah. I did most guitars. I do the same binding with to say the side wood, and sometimes you got to mix it up. Give it a little spruce up. There are many more other guitars that I've kind of changed it up just to give it a little more flair again. This neck is mahogany of some sort, Kaya African mahogany. Um, when I did start building, I did have three kinds of woods. The Spanish cedar is more especially for used for classical guitars,
Hmm.
and mahogany is generally the choice wood for and a steel string acoustic, and even in the blueprints for the Ramirez, it does mention mahogany as well. So it's preference.
Now that is a unique guitar, and I'm guessing it's not for sale.
This guitar is not for sale.
Right.
I actually built this guitar in memory of Parsley, which was the cat we had, and we had to put down. Believe it or not, I actually finished this guitar the day before we had to put him down. So I think I finished this guitar in the morning, and he was not looking too good in the afternoon. And as the day went on, you know, had to make the choice.
It's weird how things work out like that sometimes.
Yeah, But this guitar is currently, I think, the only guitar I have in stock that is with a cedar top. Um, Again, I mentioned about wanting to bring in some more cedar. The back and the sides of this guitar is figured European ash. You really see it a lot more on the
Mm-hmm.
sides.
Wow.
And I did do a cat silhouette stain at the back. Believe it or not, the idea of actually building this guitar was these cat themes uh, inlays, but they're stickers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't tell until you actually touch them.
Of
There's a
course.
little bit like of
But I do
embossed
wish my
feeling.
inlay skills were this good.
Yeah. One day you'll get there.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And kind of worked out to find a cat themed pick guard there.
Mm-hmm.
This neck is actually just some white ash, and there's bloodwood lamination in here. Um, right now, currently, with my guitars, I've been doing a lamination as a standard just because knowing how strong uh, the neck woods are without the lamination, it kind of just makes more sense where you've got actually a harder piece of wood in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have it all glued up, the woods are actually working against each other. So it's not as easy to, to have that bow. And
So a bit more stable then, I
it's
guess.
a little more stable. It makes
Yeah.
the truss rod work a little less. And, and ultimately that's better off for the guitar,
Mm-hmm.
the wood itself.
Right. Can you show off the bottom there? I really like how the color changes near the end block. And wow.
Yeah.
Let's see, is that some ebony or something else?
I did an ebony end flash with some wenge on each side.
Nice.
And also with the headstock, I tried to kind of jazz it up a little, do something a little more outside of the box, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because usually I just have, this is obviously some of that ash. And just to give it a little more appeal. And I believe this is actually the only guitar that I had the logo routed where you can actually see through the whole headstock. Maybe we'll get a close up of it.
Oh, yeah. Cool. All right.
Okay, so what we have here is a couple Parlour guitars. What I can actually say about the Parlour guitars that I do build, they seem to give out the most volume and sound. And I'm not sure if it's just the way the blueprints are, or with building the guitars, there's lots of factors like the wood you're using, the grades, the bracing. So, but again, regardless of when I do build a Parlour guitar, what tone woods I do use, they all seem to give out the most volume.
They're smaller, but they pack a punch.
They do.
Cool.
And this guitar was almost actually based around this two-tone Paduk fingerboard.
That's the first thing I notice when I look at it, for sure.
It definitely stands out.
Yeah.
And I bought the fingerboard actually not even thinking about the rest of the guitar yet, but down the road I bought some more Paduk. One of the things I do happen to do is build guitars that are you know, the fingerboard would be the same as the back and the sides. And if I'm lucky enough to find a bridge of the same wood,
okay, yep.
This guitar is definitely Sitka spruce. And this is actually some of that discoloration I was telling you about with the
Okay.
grading, right?
Yeah, it goes from like a very
like
pale to
it's almost like it's blushing around the sides.
Right, yeah, there's a bit of blush in there for sure. Whereas this one is much more uniform.
A little more cleaner. Actually, it looks like even the grains are much a little tighter on this one, well, much tighter than this Paduk guitar. This Paduk guitar has got a white ash neck with no lamination. But again, these Parlour guitars I build do pack a punch and sound.
Awesome. You want to do a little swap?
I'm gonna do a little swap.
Let's not bash them together yet. No. We're doing a guitar smash after?
Yeah.
Like Nirvana? No. Okay.
Then we'll smash them into the speakers.
Yeah.
This Parlour is actually flame maple back and sides. Highly figured, actually. It's a 4A. And I've used Purple Heart for the accents. I also made a rosette out of Purple Heart, as well as.
Wow. So there's no staining going on. That is just like a finish on top of the natural wood?
That's right. I actually don't like staining the woods. And, you know, some of the guitars you can buy in the stores, they'll just say paint the whole guitar black or something, or red or blue or green. One of the things I do with actually choosing the woods to build the guitars is, you know, just to have its own natural beauty, its own natural colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I do use a super blonde or an ultra blonde shellac on my guitars.
Okay. Yeah, because there's like an amber version of shellac too, right?
Which is blonde.
Oh, the blonde. Okay, yeah. So do you find that that'll yellow a bit more?
It does actually. If you go back to a photo of the Proto guitar, that was used with the blonde, and you can actually see how it's very yellow compared to either of these guitars.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a little dueling parlors later with Gordon, aren't we?
That's right.
Awesome.
One thing I do is not build dreadnought-sized guitars, because that's actually what you see the most of at a guitar store. And when I started to actually build these guitars, having in mind only to build classical to begin with, you know, I was kind of thinking more the musicians here in the city, where, you know, they probably don't want to lug around a big dreadnought, go to their gigs, and you know, and that's why I went with the orchestra model, the grand concert, and the smallest of the three is the Parlour. You know, I have customers where they do say, you know, get a little more intimate with the guitar because it's, you know, a little more closer to you. Mm-hmm. And another thing I do when I build is to think of the different tone woods, where the idea is that when the customer comes and plays on the guitar, I can hand them a different guitar, and even if it's in the same body size, they should sound different. So, you know, the idea is the customer will play a guitar, it's like, oh, you know, this sounds nice, and you hand them another guitar, it's like, oh, this one's a little different, right? Mm-hmm. So between these two that we have here, this being flame maple, would have a brighter sound compared to this Paduk. But yeah, as far as I know, the Paduk would probably give more of a warmer, low end kind of a sound. And when Gordon tries out these guitars for us, hopefully you can hear through the mic.
Awesome.
How they sound.
I can't wait. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so is this a grand concert?
Yes, this is a grand concert. So
Okay.
this is actually in between an orchestra model and a parlor. Now, even though it's in the middle of the two, it doesn't necessarily mean it's smaller here.
Hmm.
Um, I believe actually the parlor is longer in this sense
Oh, okay.
than the grand concert.
Hmm.
Yeah,
They all look like pears to me.
yeah, pretty much.
um,
And there is some freedom with luthiers where they will experiment with this would be the upper bout
mhm.
and this would be the lower bout, and they will try experimenting with this is called the waist, right?
Uh-huh.
So it all affects the sound of the guitar, the volume.
Hmm. Just all the way that the sound vibrates and moves around there, right?
Yeah,
Refracts. Cool. Reflects. So what kind of materials are we using in here? I think there's some pretty unique stuff.
this is
Show.
actually a 2A Sitka spruce. So if you can kind of see the grains are actually pretty tight on this.
Hmm.
Um, the back and the sides is actually a wood called Mashish. I think it's African.
Okay. Yeah. Lots of interesting woods come out of Africa, eh?
It does.
Yeah.
And I've got a black walnut fingerboard, and honestly, it looks kind of dry. To tell you the truth, I think the walnut actually sucks up a lot of the oils when you try to oil it up.
Right.
Yeah,
Get some conditioner on there later.
and there's this neck. It's got some bloodwood in it, bloodwood laminate strip. And the two sides of this neck is white limba. And again, I do try to bring in different woods to try out, even with the neck. Again, the standard would be mahogany, and who knows? There's so much wood out there, and it's always worth a shot to try something new. And you never know, you might just find something
Hmm.
magical that works.
Awesome. And is there do you find that certain woods work better in the neck that you never put it on a top, or vice versa? You wouldn't use a top wood on for a neck. They're just suited to different purposes, I guess.
I'm not a wood expert, so
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to really say. I know, especially with the neck woods, the hardness of it is a big factor. But again, with me laminating the necks now, it's I think the sky's the limit really
Hmm.
on what you want.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's hear how this baby sounds.
Yeah.